Tonight is July 9th, 2024. This is the UNIA-ACL Division 421. I said, what I say? July. Oh my God. January 9th. I said 2024 though, right? I got that part. I might not. January 9th, 2024. It's 8:13 p.m. and this is our UNIA-ACL Division 421 officers training. Tonight we'll be going over questions from lesson 13 titled The Universe, and we'll go into the reading for lesson 14 titled Self-Reliance. Very good lesson. Any questions, comments before let me get through what's it called. We'll do the pledge and the what's going on? Okay. We'll do the pledge and start do the roll call, and then we'll get into the meeting. If you would, please come off mute, put your black fists in the air, say along with me if you know the words. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green. I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and liberation of her scattered black children. I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism, and I promise that our children will be instilled with purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people. In order that our struggle, in order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail, until all Black people are free and united through one God, one aim, one destiny. Or the echo threw me off a little bit. Please, you got internet access? I'm gonna need y'all to be able to see what's on the what I'm sharing. Some of it, you could probably just answer the question, but I had mine. Oh shoot! Okay. My lessons pulled up. Oh, okay. I got some questions before that. So yeah, you good. So on the call tonight, we have myself, Brother John, Brother Art out of Virginia, Attorney Imhotep, Counsel General of UNIA-ACL, Brother Malik, Officer in Training, is here with me at the Omanala Griot, and Brother Eric, other Officer in Training, is here. So we have 5 total, waiting for our Lady President to join us. Any questions or comments before we get into the questions? Everybody good? Okay, y'all sound like y'all good. Y'all look like y'all good. Before we get into the questions for lesson 13, there are 3 questions from previous lessons that I wanted to ask for us to consider as we're going through lesson 13. So first question is, how do we not become immoral? And what does immorality lead to? Do we remember that from lesson 7? How do we not become immoral, and what does immorality lead to? How do we not become immoral? Anybody remember? Okay. So from lesson 7, that question, how do we not become immoral? What does immorality lead to? To not become immoral, Mr. Garvey says, read books and think loftily. What does immorality lead to, which is not as important for this lesson, but leads to pain and suffering. The part I wanted us to remember is read good books and think loftily. This is what Garvey says on how to not become immoral. From lesson 11, in regards to our mission. Lesson 11 was titled Man. In regards to man, what is our mission and how do we accomplish it? Do we remember that one? All right. Garvey says in that lesson, mission is to make man good, talk from the loftiest pinnacle. So that's the second time we are recommended to think and speak loftily. And then from lesson 12, the purpose of institutions. The question was, what happens when man fails to lift himself up to lordship? Do we remember the answer to that one? Let me turn my camera on. What happened when man fails to lift himself up to lordship? This was
another man can take his place.
Another man can take his place?
Yeah.
I like that. Anyone else want to add in or comment on that? I think you are in the Garvey says one man's dispossession of lordship enthrones another man's sovereignty over him. So as we go through this lesson on universe, keep these comments in mind. We are in chapter 7. Garvey said that we should read books and think loftily. And lesson 11, Garvey says the mission is to make man good and to talk to men from the loftiest pinnacle. That is how we make man good. We raise his consciousness, speaking from the loftiest pinnacle. And then what happens when man fails to lift himself up to lordship? One man's dispossession of lordship enthrones another man's sovereignty over him. So when we don't have our own direction, someone will provide a direction for us. Hence, self-reliance. All right, let's get into lesson 13. Any questions, comments? Okay. First question, what has been the eternal puzzle that contains universal knowledge beyond the knowledge of our own world? Anybody on the conference line? We got a response here at the griot. Brother Eric, would you agree? What has been the eternal puzzle that contains universal knowledge beyond knowledge of our own world? The universe, that's what you say? Yes. The universe. Okay. Yeah, I believe in the beginning, Garvey says the riddle of the universe is the word that he used. Let's see. Not self-initiative. And this is a short lesson. Hopefully we can run through this really quick. No man yet knows the riddle of the universe. It has been an eternal puzzle. So the eternal puzzle is the riddle of the universe. Wait a minute. Wait, it didn't go to my book. Let me make sure I do that right. No man yet knows the riddle of the universe. It has been the eternal puzzle. So yeah, I don't know what page. First page on lesson 13. All right, next question. What does terrestrial mean? I think I heard myself. Make sure the volume down. I feel like I heard something.
Terrestrial means like on Earth, but from the context of like 3D. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, you lost me on the 3D part.
Terrestrial means like Earth on Earth is the world. Yeah.
Yes. Anybody?
Planet roaming.
Anybody online agree, disagree? Is my volume up? Hold on, is my volume up? No, I know my volume is up. Cause I heard Art earlier. Okay. Um, yes, Brother Malik and Brother Eric, correct. Of or relating to Earth and its inhabitants. So Garvey used the word. Let's see how he used that. Da, 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 da. I don't even know where he used. What page? Oh no, it's not a page. It's not a. Okay, if man can succeed in identifying the facts of the majority of units in the universe, he approaches a greater degree of knowledge than those who confine themselves only to the investigation of things terrestrial. So Garvey is saying if we can fathom and unlock some of the mysteries, some of the riddles of the universe, or even attempt to do so, then we are expanding our thoughts beyond those that only think of things terrestrial or on this earth, on this plane. What? You like that? That was good. How do we approach a greater degree of knowledge? I just answered this. Than those who confine themselves only to the investigation of things terrestrial. Anybody on the call, on the Zoom?
Experiment and never rest with your limited knowledge of the world. Never rest with your limited knowledge of the world.
Yes. Is that the same thing that you read?
No, he put it in his own word.
Did you?
I don't think so.
No, I think that's what did you say, Malik?
I couldn't find the facts of the majority of units in the universe.
Is that all that it said?
Units? I mean, it's
No, it's something else in there, I thought, because it what you said sounded.
by the facts of the majority of the units in the universe, experiment, and it says never rest with your limited knowledge of the world.
There you go. Yeah, both of those.
That part.
So that is very good. And that's how, I mean, whatever, the key thing is internalizing it. There's going to be a lesson where Garvey talks about personality. And it's a good lesson, but basically what he's talking about there is our own sense of self. You know, we're not supposed to be carbon copies of Garvey. We can say his quotes, we can know his quotes, but we should still be able to communicate them in our own style. So that's what personality is about. Identifying the facts of the majority of units of the universe, the greater minds of our world have experimented and are experimenting in their desire to grapple with all the facts that sustain the universe. Never rest with your limited knowledge of the world, but seek to find other knowledge with which you may be able to lift yourself far above that which has been attained or accomplished by man. Page 108. So it's about, this lesson, when I go through this lesson, it kind of takes me back to lesson 1. This is talking about, it also, I think lesson 5, because it's talking about infinity, kind of, so to speak, and unlimited, not having a limit. So if we start to approach thought and lessons, peace, brother Haru, I see you out there. If we approach thought and lessons with the mindset of we're trying to get as close as we can to that infinity, we will be far above those that limit themselves and limit their thinking. Makes sense? So always stretch your thinking, always challenge your thinking. There's so much to the universe. They say the universe is ever expanding. So our knowledge, should be ever expanding as well. What is one way that man can become a quote hero and an immortal, according to Mr. Garvey? Right. Brother Malik, Brother Eric, Malik, you right on it. You heard him?
Yep.
Anybody on the call? Anybody on Zoom? What is one way that man can become a quote hero and an immortal?
Deliver truth
That's only half of it. That's half of it.
to mankind.
It's you're in the ballpark. It's a little more specific. I mean, you would still get like 80%.
Discover the truth.
Discover the truth. Is that it? No, I thought it was discover the truth in which man is in need of.
Discover truth for which humanity was searching for.
Yes,
Observe
there it
well and
is.
See what mankind needs most.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So it's not just a truth. It's a truth that people care about. Yeah, you can, like if somebody discovered a planet, 80 million light years from here, but don't nobody care about it. It's true, but you're not about to go down in the record books, for something that people don't really care about. Whereas if you were able to turn, rainwater into drinking water for the entire, world, you on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? You're going down into the books. So that's what I was looking for. It's when he has discovered a truth for which mankind is in need for or searching for. He also continues, this is on page 109 and 110, leaving behind a never dying name because of the exceptional things you have been able to perceive and discover through the hidden mirror of universality. Observe well and see what mankind needs the most in addition to what they have, and bring it to them. So this is a directive. This is what we should be doing on a daily basis. We're not just aimless volunteers, but we're looking for what what has the most impact for our community. And those are the things that we should be putting the most, time, effort, and energy into. Questions, comments? But yes, we again, this is about no limits. So immortality, thinking beyond the terrestrial. This is a lesson where we really stretch your mind, stretch your beliefs and your concepts. If there is a mountain, it suggests that what is behind it, and further, what is Garvey trying to communicate with that statement? If there's a mountain, it suggests that what is behind it. Zoom call, where y'all at? Be quiet. Oh my God. Three. What's this down here? Bless you.
I think one of them will meet.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, so there ain't nobody to meet you in there.
There's seven.
There's Art.
Two. It's four actually. Art, Brother Imhotep, Sister Ebony, and Brother Orman. Okay. Y'all there on Zoom?
Yes.
We here.
Okay. All right. Anytime, you know what I mean? Just jump in there. If there's a mountain, it suggests that what is behind it, brothers here said that a valley. What is Garvey trying to communicate with this statement? And it is pretty profound, so just take a shot. But he does elaborate on it in the text.
If there is a mount, it is suggestive that there's a valley behind it. Don't rest with the mounts because you see it. Search for the valley because there may be such hidden there. Never cease studying the ideas or the facts that may lead you to a definite conclusion.
Yes. Yes. I'll say it so that just so y'all understand it and I'm not reading it, but it also will say we have to find the invisible cause to the visible meaning. I mean, yeah. Wait, invisible cause to the visible effect. It says something to that nature. So
Find the cause to justify the effect. That part.
think so.
Find
Yes.
the-
Find the cause. Find the hidden cause to the visible effect. But yes, the first answer was a valley. If there's a mountain that suggests there's a valley behind it, Garvey says find the hidden cause to the visible effect. The example that I threw out here, since we're talking about the universe, would be the Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory implies that the planets are, or the universe is expanding, and the planets are moving away from each other. So if you work backwards through time, that would say that at one point, everything started in one place, and that corroborates or supports the theory of Big Bang. But we have to be able to consider the hidden cause to the visible effect. Even if we can't see it, we should be able to imagine it and think about it. Questions, comments? Eric feeling it right there. Like, yo, I'm feeling this lesson.
This is my favorite one.
Really?
This is my favorite one.
Wow.
Like, if I kind of read them out of order, like, I kind of, like, I don't want to say, like, like, I read books by the chapter.
Yeah.
And then I read it in the order when it's like, and like, then I go back, but this one was just the timing of when I read it, and it's just so much, because he says so much the entire time, across all the lessons.
I
Like, packed so much into this one specifically that it's
that's what I'm saying. This is one of those lessons. I personally,
like that you just gotta pay attention to. Like, you pay attention to all of them, but just like really,
Yes.
you took the time to say a word.
Yes. Yes, yeah, you have to be intentional. Some people and a lot of people could overlook the lesson, or just read past it. You read the words, but you're not internalizing what he's really saying. And yeah, but these are lessons. These are not just chapters. This is not a novel. This is a course of African philosophy. Examples of individuals who became immortal through their contributions to mankind. So what were you can either give some in the book or some that we think of ourselves. Who are some individuals that became immortal through their contributions to mankind? Mandela, okay.
Tupac.
King,
Bob Marley.
MLK, Bob Marley, Malcolm X, Nat Turner, Marcus Garvey.
He put Thomas Edison on there.
yeah, that's the 6. I'm like, why the hell? But I thought about his time.
Yes.
He didn't have the access to the knowledge that we have.
Yes.
Because
Now
he was in the late 1800s, in the early 1900s. So
let's bring that. Let's put that on the table. We mentioned some of our people, which I like. I love. But let's also address the individuals that Mr. Garvey mentioned. So does anybody? I think Thomas Edison came up. Who else does he have?
that is
Stevenson, Fulton, and Harvey. Edison for electricity, help with electricity. Stevenson, steam engine. Fulton, the steamboat, and Harvey for the circulatory system. But yes, as we were just talking about, who?
York.
Dr. York. Yes. But the funny thing is, when it comes,
Dr. York not dead.
he ain't got to be dead to be immortal.
Yeah. Like, it's already kind of permanent.
but valid point. But back to the lessons. This is a very interesting lesson, and Brother Eric just brought the point of the order of the lessons, and it's something that I haven't really figured out. I don't know if Garvey wrote the lessons in this order or if he just placed them in this order or how that worked. But when we look at the previous lesson that we just read was called The Purpose of Institutions. And it talked about the importance of having our own institutions and having our own model and way of doing things. And then right after that lesson, he hit us with 4 Europeans. So I challenged that.
He did it again too.
Wait, hold on, slow down. It's a later question.
Yeah, he did it in, the last question.
See, hold on. But that's where we come in. As we develop our institutions, we have to make sure that the next generation has examples of success and quote unquote immortality that look like them, and they are aware of these individuals and can say their names, like Sister Harriet Tubman and so forth, Sister Sojourner Truth. A lot of our people.
Noble Drew Ali also, his birthday was the other day.
Noble Drew Ali. We had got the Moors up on here with us. Yes, definitely. But yes, that's the challenge. That is not the criticism that I have of Garvey, but he allows us to, as he said, update the information. So now it's time for us to be able to provide the children with examples of immortality that look like them and look like us. Questions, comments? All right, number 7. What type of people, according to Garvey, have the ability to see things by looking through the mental darkness?
Subconscious manipulator.
Damn, I was just on it. Anybody on Zoom? I hope y'all ain't hear them.
He said,
So you want people to answer on Zoom too?
Please.
Okay. It is the dreamer, the subconscious manipulator who sees things by looking through the mental darkness.
Yes, absolutely. You got any examples? Anybody have any examples of what looks like to them or individuals that have exhibited that?
It's like seeing things outside of yourself. It's like thinking outside of the box, like having an open imagination to being able to see past your current circumstance.
Yes, pretty much. It's strong imagination is where that comes, where that goes to me. The example that I've used in the past is Albert Einstein. If you study Albert Einstein, this is another, Caucasian, but if you study Albert Einstein, he developed I gotta figure out which one it is, the theory of relativity, I think general relativity.
That's it. Yeah.
But he did that, according to his testimony, he did that while he was working as a patent clerk in a patent office. So he's not in a lab, he's not doing physical experiments, but he's able to think, and use his imagination and, what are the principles of gravity? How does the principles of gravity work in space? And to be able to develop something that other scientists could agree with it's remarkable. And we have that ability as well. We have to develop that ability, but a very strong imagination is what I get from that. But as Garvey said, the dreamer and the subconscious manipulator, being able to manipulate things in your mind. So
in your mental state, in your, because it's by extension. So it's like,
go ahead.
I shouldn't.
All right. Said he shouldn't. He gonna save that. Y'all ain't ready for that.
I shouldn't.
All right. Said he shouldn't. He gonna save that. All right. Said he shouldn't. He gonna save that. Y'all ain't ready for that. All right. Said he shouldn't. He gonna save that. Y'all ain't ready for that. All right, type of people that have the ability to see things, looking through the mental. But again, just developing our mental, developing our imagination. Is no way we're ever going to physically be able to travel the entire universe physically, but that's something that we can do mentally. We can truly imagine, the dynamics in space. All right, a few more questions. Next question, number 8. How can we see as much as Christ saw when he saw God? What'd you think? Malik, hey, don't say nothing no more. Wait, I'm gonna call on you.
What
Anybody?
a wonder and amazement.
Wonder and amazement? Say again, Attorney Imhotep.
Yes, what a wonder and amazement. That was suppose you like Christ could see God. Well, that would be a wonder and an amazement.
But how do we see God like Christ did? According to Mr. Garvey.
Christ was an object lesson in man's glorification and knowledge.
We gotta go to the text.
Therefore, you approach thought with its deepest sublimity.
Yes.
You may see as much as Christ saw when he saw God.
Yes, that's it right there. Approach thought with its deepest sublimity. Sublimity. Anybody want to pull up the definition of sublimity?
Sublimity is like the other meanings that something can have, or like something implied.
Sublimity is based in sublime, which is the Julian.
I read it as sublimity, like subliminal, sublimity.
No, sublime
I
is
got a definition.
Hold
And
on,
it says,
one second. Hold your definition. Hold your
lofty,
definition.
grand, or exalted in thought expression.
Is that what you got, Lady President?
Which page?
similar. It says the quality of being extremely good, beautiful, or enjoyable.
Yes.
How did you spell it?
Sublimity, sublimity. Lady President, one more time.
That's the quality of being extremely good, beautiful, or enjoyable.
I like that. Brother Malik, what was yours?
Mine is lofty, grand, or exalted in thought, expression, or manner.
Yes.
I focused on think highly.
Think highly. That's exactly what I wrote. Think highly. But again, this goes back to what
Of outstanding spiritual, intellectual, or moral worth.
Of outstanding spiritual, intellectual, or moral worth. But again, raising our thoughts, raising our speech, raising the thoughts of those around us. So that's a recurring theme. As we just saw before we started the lesson, we went to a question in lesson 7, as well as lesson 9, that promoted us to think lofty and to speak loftily. And now Garvey's coming back, lesson 13, and basically saying, if we approach thought with its deepest sublimity, if we think loftily, if we think as highly as we possibly can, for lack of a better term, then we will be able to see God as Christ did. Questions, comments?
So he meant most beautiful kind, right?
Loft.
Like in the
I'm gonna need Brother Malik to bring the definition again.
definition
Lofty,
says,
grand, or exalted in thought, expression, or manner, or the other one.
Grand in thought, expression, or manner. So you're not. One thing that I've learned in a very long time ago, quote, small things affect small minds. So your mind should be so developed and so, imaginative that small things don't affect you. And the things that are on your mind and things you're thinking about, again, are on a grand scale. It's not just, what I want for dinner tonight. It's how can I provide for the community for the next 10, 15 years, So it's just challenging how we think. and we have to get out of, we're taught to think small and to think in a box, and the box is our bodies, and that's where that ego comes from. We put everything into ourselves. But we really have to understand our connection with the universe, with everything, and build upon that. So, all right, questions, comments? Okay, what created the universe and what will master the universe? Not you, Malik. What
Thought.
created thought?
Yes,
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, thought. Thought created the universe and thought will master. Anybody got that in the book? Can read it for us?
Yes, it is thought that created the universe. It is thought that will master the universe.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to continue, but straightforward. Again, thinking, and make sure we're thinking sublimity, with the deepest sublimity. I'm gonna have to add that to my my repertoire. So yeah, developing our thoughts, developing our imaginations, thinking grand. Questions, comments? Next question: what may lead you suddenly into the conquest of which heretofore was mysterious?
Proper thinking.
Proper thinking. So thinking. These are not my words, but again, as we analyze the text, there's a message that Garvey's trying to get across, and thinking and thought is a repetitive theme. So something to consider. But we have to master our thoughts. What can we do to climb in excellence to the companionship of the most excellent? I'm about to say just think well.
Oh, think excellent.
You kind of said the answer right there, didn't you,
Think
President?
well. No, well, Brother Malik, he's been 100%. So I thought he had.
If man can think most excellently, then he climbs in that excellence to the companionship of the most excellent.
Yes. Think excellently. Again, recurring theme. But if anybody asks you what this lesson is about, you should be able to, have some understanding. We definitely get a improve your thinking theme. That's the best way to say it. How does man in his excellence lift himself highest to God?
And his excellence lives by his mental industry.
Mental industry, yes. So again, developing our imagination. For me, this comes, it's a mix of having a good understanding of history, as well as math and science. I think with those three, that's a good foundation. What happens when man has no mental industry?
He forfeits that mentality.
What does that mean?
And the man who has no mentality forfeits that mentality to the useful servant who climbs in his excellence to the most excellent.
Yes.
So he's give up his rightful place to it.
Yes. And again, as we read, Lesson 12, what happens when man fails to lift himself up to his lordship? One man's dispossession of lordship enthrones another man's sovereignty over him. Garvey's coming back with the next lesson saying that if man has no mental industry, he forfeits that mental industry to useful servants who climb in his excellence to the most excellent. So if we're not going to do it for ourselves, someone else will definitely step up and do it for us. So, and for our people. And that is our job as leaders in the UNIA, is to understand that gap, that void, and to be able to fill that gap and that void with legitimate, conscious, knowledgeable individuals. And that's what we're trying to do. Questions, comments?
He also said in one of these subjects, he said if you don't like basically step up, you become like their slave.
Yeah, I don't know if that's is that one we already read, or is that coming up? Because we got self-reliance coming up. So I know he's going to touch on it again in self-reliance.
No, he said it before in one of these passages.
So that's another common theme, self-reliance itself, but Garvey is basically giving us the other side of that coin. If we are not, and when in our time, in our life, in our, existence as a people, when we haven't been self-reliant, there's always been someone else there to provide a direction and a position for us. So we have to, we gotta step up, get back on our feet as men and women and determine our own position in this world. Our next question. Garvey considers the universe bright and beautiful. So where is the darkness? And how do we lighten the darkness? First, where's the darkness?
It's in you.
It's in you. Yes, it's in us. But it's in you. That's perfect, Lady President. Each of us should internalize that. When we look at the mirror, and as we've gone through lesson 1 through 7, that's us looking in the mirror, not judging or criticizing anybody else, but us looking at how we can be better individuals ourselves. So that's a perfect answer. The darkness that is in the universe is in us, each of us as individuals, and we have to address the darkness within ourselves before we try to go helping everybody else around the world. How do we lighten the darkness?
It says, bring down the light and knowledge into your soul and flash it through your mind like the spark from the thunderbolt, and all creations will ignite in one glorious illumination, and you will pass through the mysteries of the universe with the knowledge and eyes of a God.
Yes. So again, this is taking us back to lesson 1. Intelligence, education, universal knowledge, and how to get it. We should be pursuing knowledge to the ends of the earth. And Garvey is saying that this is how we address the darkness within ourselves. But again, recurring theme, thinking highly, thinking loftily, thinking excellent, mental industry, not forfeiting our mental industry, and seeking knowledge to address the darkness within ourselves. Again, there are no limits to our mental capability, and we should not think that there are any limits. Our brain is our mental capability is not confined within our head. Next question. What is the goal of enlightenment? Last 2 questions. Do you agree?
Illume the soul, and God's brilliancy will be revealed as it was revealed to Christ when the halo surrounded his head and he was declared the begotten Son of God, whom God was well pleased.
Yeah, is that the goal? Let me see.
The goal. What is the goal of it?
I'm sorry. To approach God's elevation.
Yeah, I think that's it. I thought it was something like being eye to eye with God.
To be revealed.
No, you was
God's
right.
brilliance is what it said.
Oh, let me see. What I got is, and I'm not saying that y'all are wrong. If y'all put y'all answers, it wouldn't necessarily be wrong. But what I had is to understand the mysteries of the universe with the knowledge and eyes of God. That's really that's the best answer that I can think of. Again, we're talking about, when we talk about the lesson on Christ, we're coming back in universe, thinking loftily, thinking as highly as we can. But once we do reach that highest state, just like the lesson on Christ said that was an example, and use Christ as an example to say, if we could ever see God eye to eye, Christ is the closest example that we have. So he's coming back with this lesson and saying, if you do reach that point of enlightenment, that's the closest thing that you'll be able, for a human being to see with the knowledge and eyes of God. Illumine the soul, and God's brilliancy will be revealed as it was revealed to Christ. So we will be able to see God's brilliancy and see things in the world and ourselves and our people as God sees us. Questions, comments? That's kind of the goal of this lesson. Last question. What does Garvey add to the phrase, quote, man, know thyself?
Man, know thyself, and may know the universe, and man, know your God.
Yes. Know the universe and know your God.
That's the one. Because he attributed to the Greeks, which they got it from the Egyptians. But yeah,
You talking about the man know thyself?
Yeah. He attributed to the Greeks.
But yes, the takeaway for that, that Garvey added to man, know thyself, know the universe and know your God. We should know those statements. Any questions, comments on lesson 13? We're making good time, but we do have time for questions.
Do you think that him putting them in the same vicinity like that being know thyself, and the explanation being, you know what I'm saying? Do you think he was equating them, or was he making them separate?
Know thyself, know the universe, and know God.
Yeah, like if that's the explanation, like why, like if the question is why this one, and his answer is because those two also.
Well, basically, because the whole phrase was, know thyself is to know God, but to know the gods. It's something to that effect. So it's basically a paraphrasing of, or just expanding on that phrase.
I would say more so expanding. Basically what I would say is, in order to truly know yourself, you need to know the universe and know God. But in order to know any one, you have to really know all three. But that's, again, that's that enlightenment. The close, as you get, you gotta really think about that. As you get closer and closer to divine knowledge, that's when everything makes sense. So if you really want to know yourself, know the universe. Because why is that? Why do you think that is? Why do you need to know the universe to know yourself?
We fundamentally, literally, to whatever, whatever direction you look, whichever one it is, pick anything from science, math, history, chemistry, biology, astrology, the neurology of your brain, psychology, whichever one, it's one thing, or it's
we are, everything that's in the universe is in us.
yes.
So it's related, and it's the same thing from a God perspective. The way, that's the way I see it. Garvey will say later on that he doesn't believe that man is God, and we shouldn't say that any man is God. But using Garvey's lessons, we do have to understand our relationship with what Garvey calls universal intelligence. And that's knowing God. And if you get approach universal intelligence, you know the universe, you know yourself, and you know other people, but the higher you get in knowledge, it's almost like if you had your face on the ground, that is your level of knowledge, what you see, and versus if you were raised 2,000 feet in the air and you're looking down, and then what you can see, that's approaching universal intelligence, because now you can see it all and you can understand it all and you can see how it all relates to each other, so you're not, and that's that again, it's we got to get out of, our people really got to get out of this blinders mindset of only having a small select knowledge base, usually of useless knowledge like sports and entertainment. But we've got to get more into history, because history just grows every day. Every day history becomes more and more. So you're not gonna
The pattern, you can say something over there, something to reference, add something else to it.
Yes, but history repeats itself. Malcolm X quote: "History is the subject best qualified, most attractive to reward all research." He got that from Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But yes, that's one of those. History is something that you can study for the rest of your life and get major benefits from, as well as math and science. That's why I said those subjects, you can just go, they can go into infinity, the knowledge base. But if you combine all three of those, then you're on a whole nother level, plus art and all that other stuff too. All right, questions, comments on lesson 13. It's 9:05. All right, let's see. Lady President, will you be reading?
Yes.
Do my share properly. So yes, that's lesson 13, universe. We're going in lesson 14, self-initiative. So we're kind of coming back down to earth, and getting more into the practical. So very important lesson, pay attention. Very important questions coming next week. But this lesson here is things that we can put into practice, immediately. Lady President, you got the floor.
Lesson 14, self-initiative. Every man is his own responsibility in life. Nature never made anyone dually, but singly. Therefore, you have your single responsibility. The purpose of life is to live fully. Hence, the single life must be complete, and in fact, it is so with every man. Therefore, it is the duty of every man to fall back on himself for what he wants. It is necessary for a man to use all of his faculties for his own protection. He always has a reserve of self-expression and action upon which to fall and protect and defend himself. Therefore, he must develop his faculties to do things thoroughly for himself. He must rely upon himself first for initiating all those things that may contribute to his personal well-being. Whatever he wants to do should first come from himself, as he should know what it is best for himself. Advice may be helpful, but only to the extent that you have reason and judgment enough to see the value of the advice. Otherwise, it may be harmful. Very few people, if any, who advise others do completely honestly. Generally, they advise with a motive for which the individual must pay the price, whatever that price may be. Therefore, the best individual policy should be that the individual develop in himself or herself the courage to do things on his or her own account, always counting the costs and benefits or bad results. The person who fails to be true to himself and taking the initiative to do things for himself will ultimately find out that he or she has been a sucker for others. Always surround yourself with the talent of being able to do by yourself, so as to not be too dependent. A person who has to depend on others is not himself or herself, but the subject of others. A subject or a medium is apt to break under the influence of the controlling factor, as for instance, a hypnotist who has a controlling factor may so hypnotize his subject as to cause the subject to lose his or her mind. Therefore, try to never be the subject mentally of a factor, because a factor may destroy your opportunity for self-reliance and self-initiative. Always maintain a strong will and emphasize that strong will even more when from the first reasonable judgment you come to the conclusion that you are right. To come to that conclusion, you must have the facts before you in your mind. If your facts are as good as is known, if your facts are as good as is known and can possibly be gathered on the particular thing on which a decision is to be based, then don't allow anyone but God Almighty to alter your will, because your will is your decision, and your decision is your intelligence, and your intelligence is your personality, and your personality is your self-confidence and your initiative. Always try to help yourself. Only when you are completely satisfied that you do not have the ability, knowledge, character, and strength to do for yourself, should you call anyone to help you. When you ask others to help you over anything, be sure that they are your very, very, very good friends or relatives, because if the thing you ask them to help you out of may be valuable to you, and would not be of value to others, they may take the value for themselves, and all that you will get for calling in someone else to do something for you that you should do for yourself is disappointment. You will have the sad experience of learning how bad man is to rob his fellows of their rights. Anything on earth that is of value to you is of interest to the other person. If you have a good idea, try to develop it yourself and master it yourself before you ask for help. For at best, you will have to at least share the results with those who help you. Fear God and know no other fear. There is a God. No man can say there is no God, because no man is like God. Man is limited in his intelligence at the most, and man knows how insufficient he is between life and death, that he is born without his knowledge and dies without his will or wish, when his birth and death must be logically and naturally be controlled by someone else. It could not be man, because man is always man, whether he be a big man or a small man. So power that gives birth and causes death must be greater than man's power. Whatever that power is, it must be an absolute power. Some men call it by different names, but they all mean the same thing, and it is God. Therefore, when man says there is no God, he is a fool, for he is not as great as God. Join no one in saying that there is, join no one in saying there is no God. And join no man in saying he is God, for it is blasphemy. Fear God, but love God. If you love God, you need no fear God. You need not fear God, for God is with you, and you are a part of him and your goodness. You fear God only when you are conscious of being evil or wicked. You love God and work with God while you are good. There is nothing in this world that you should fear otherwise, for everything in the world is subject to you as man. Never fear man, but understand man, so as to escape the wrath of man and master man. Man is vicious, man is wicked, and you must know that he is. By knowing that he is wicked, you are able to handle him without fearing him. Meet the stare of man with your stare. Never cringe before the stare of man, otherwise he masters you. Develop enough courage, character, boldness, and self-confidence to look any man in the face and hold your ground. The first time you take your eyes off him because of his stare, he conquers you because you are unprepared. Look him straight in the eye. Keep him covered with your eye and let him bow and walk off, not you. This is the way man conquers the lion or wild beast, by staring it in the eye. The moment he takes off his eye, the beast will spring upon him. The daring look of man conquers man. The self-confidence of man conquers man. The strong character of man conquers man. The conqueror is the fellow with the boldest and longest stare. He hypnotizes his victim and walks over him like a worm. Never be a worm. Try to never be obligated. For if you are obligated to a man, you cannot stare him to obedience. You will have to bow before him because he has a grip on you. Try then to be free from all obligations to any man and thus always be yourself. God is pleased when man lifts himself to his true position in his kingdom of earth and heaven. Ask him for strength, ask him for courage and righteousness, and you will be able to battle in the world of men. Don't ask him for wealth, but ask him for wisdom, as Solomon did, and he will be open to you the greater knowledge of goodness, if you are good in your approach to him through prayer for wisdom. If you ask God for wisdom and understanding, you have everything else, because with wisdom and understanding, you will be able to take care of yourself. Therefore, never pray to God for particular things, for individual things. He has already given all that is necessary for your existence and creation, and he has placed you as Lord and Master over them. Then, why worry him in further prayer for these things? It is a waste of time. It is annoying. It is disgusting to God. If God can be disgusting. Seek ye first wisdom and ye understanding, and all life will unfurl itself to you through God. The mind, the soul are the receptacles of understanding and wisdom. Cleanse them with protection and approach the source who will give it them, and you shall be eternally blessed. The angels of heaven are the good spirits from earth and the other planets who have passed through their probation of original life. No man on earth is an angel. The angels are spirits, not men.
All right. Thank you, Lady President. That completes the reading for lesson 14, self-reliance. It's 9:16, so we are about 20 minutes early. Any questions, comments?
I got some comments. I want to give thanks for this lesson this evening because President, me and you kind of had a discussion earlier, and this is kind of like right on the vibration that what we were talking about earlier is just having the direction in ourselves and knowing like who we are as a people, where to find direction in ourselves, and actually giving that knowledge to other people, the direction.
Yes, ma'am. So what for everyone else's edification, the section that Lady President is talking about is this paragraph says, therefore, well, this relates to this paragraph. It's not directly. Therefore, the best policy should be that the individual develop in himself or herself the courage to do things on his or her own account, always counting the cost and benefits or bad results. Working with Lady President, one of the things that I feel our people, I've always felt it's two reasons. It's got to be one of two reasons. And I think it's a third one at this point as to why our people aren't involved and, committed and working. And for me, it's been either ignorance, they don't know, or a lack of courage. They do know, but they don't want to get involved. But then the third one, there are others that actually work against us. So there's some that know and they have the courage, but they use it against us. But it's those two things. So education is of critical importance. Training, development is of critical importance. Capability is something that y'all will hear me say over and over and over again, but that's really what it comes down to is what are we capable of doing? And once we have that capability, then it's up to us to carry that out. And that's where that courage comes in. So, and another thing from a courage standpoint, for me, courage overpowers capability. I'd personally rather have a person that's got courage over capability because with courage, I know personally that you can develop capability. If you are willing to, one of the things that I read in one of Garvey's texts is Selected Writings and Speeches. It says that we know him as a great orator, and probably the greatest orator of his time, the 20th century. But it says that he developed his oratory through failing over and over and over. So if you read Garvey's biography, you'll see that, there was one time when Garvey, I think early in his career, where he fell off the stage, and he was embarrassed, obviously, but you have to have the courage, one, to step up and as Garvey taught us, once you do step up and put yourself out there, the first thing people are going to want to do is criticize you and call out your failures or anything that's not up to par. So we have to be courageous to go through that. And if we do fail in a public light, we still have to be courageous to step back up. So I value courage over capability personally at this time. Questions, comments, thoughts? 9:20. Thank you, Lady President.
Yes,
Go ahead, Attorney Imhotep.
yes. In your example, why would there be amongst us, and I think, I guess, African people who would work against their people?
You said why?
Yes. Well, yes.
We've been trying to figure that out for decades. I mean, even from Malcolm X and so many other leaders that we've had that we've experienced our own people like turn against. Even in today's age, we have people who work against the grain, that look like us, that are against the same people that look like us. So I think it's just the mentality. I'm sorry, President, I just kind of took over your question, but I think it's just the mentality of always being oppressed from the time of what's the word I want to use, colonizations. So it's like we have to be in works to change the mindset so that we can show that express to our people that we are not in bondage anymore, and we don't have to oppress one another for any reason. I yield the floor.
X
Is he in the group chat?
Attorney Imhotep. Yeah, he put his information on there.
Okay, because this is a documentary called Spies of Mississippi, where they talk about how they put plants in the organization to dismantle from the inside out.
It's on YouTube.
It's
There's one about, we were just talking about Noble Drew Ali. There was one, I was waiting to send it because I didn't want to send too many back to back.
Yeah.
Blow up the whole group.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
I haven't finished yet.
Okay.
It's talking about that exact same.
Make sure anything that you put in there, and what we've shared thus far is fine. Everything's good, but just make sure anything you put in there has been completely reviewed, and you really feel confident that it's something.
That one was literally, I thought that one was cool because I've never heard him speak before.
Both of them were cool. Both what Diane put, I actually sat through that. It was actually cool. It's actually, you should really watch it. It's really about if it and Attorney Motep, I didn't forget your question. I'm gonna come back to it. But that video was about the quote unquote leaders in Africa, PLO Lumumba, Ambassador Eric Hanna, and a brother named Peter Obi. Supposedly Julius Malema was involved. They're trying to do a conference to, speak on the importance of uniting Africa. But the main contributor is a 21-year-old rich African. But he's cool. Like he's basically saying, like, in his opinion, this is his purpose, to use everything that he's got and acquired to unite the continent. Yes. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. I recommend you watch it.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
It's in the group chat. It's in the group chat.
Oh, yeah, this one here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Watch it. It's long, but it's good, man. Because in the first half, you got the leader speaking. So Eric Hanna, PLO Lumumba.
She sent it. The one she sent. The one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So now, most definitely.
But it's. I was at first. I'm like,
for the next 2 days too. I'm off for 2 days. I'm good.
watch it. I definitely encourage you, because it's really they're really the word that they're promoting a lot is youth, But it's they know that it's up to the next generation, and they're trying to get ahead of it. But Attorney Imhotep, to answer your question, I say two things. One, in the realm of ignorance, some of those that are ignorant are working against us, and they really don't even know it. So that is a component, and again, education addresses that as well. Second component, ego. Anytime these things are done from a conscious level, if it's not being done from ignorance, it's done for some type of personal benefit. I don't know what that is, or what, that's different for everybody. And a lot of times we got unpaid agents at this point, where people are just doing things for their own sense of, I had an impact in the world. Even if it's tearing down an organization, they want to be a part of something, and they can't be a part of anything legitimate or real. So tearing it down is the closest thing that they could do. So those two things would be what I would say is ignorance and ego. And the ego, we just talked about that in the last lesson. Those are individuals that they got their blinders on. They don't see their connection with the world. They don't understand, charity, reciprocity, doing things, outside of your own personal benefit. They don't understand that. So they're getting something, whether it's a car, a house, some money, or just recognition from people that they look up to. They're getting something for their personal ego. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I'm thinking more about all of it.
Watch the video before you go to meet.
She was saying, I went and grabbed the book. She was talking about how people, like, part of what we're saying is that, like, we're not, everything that we're being shown is not where we are anymore. Like, we're not like crazy far ahead, but like that's like we're not in bond. We're not sitting there begging for nothing. We don't have to do that anymore. But I went to grab this book because, like, in person, you guys can see the this is a book that I was just going through. It's like a documented list of every we
Is that the coon joint or the?
What book is that?
This is a documentary history of the Negro people in the United States, Volume 1.
Okay.
And this is just from the time of because we're talking about history and self-initiative and all of this. We never, ever went for that, ever at any point. And it wasn't begging, it wasn't asking, it was a.
We said we never ever went for what? What are you talking about?
I'm saying from how she said in bondage, how she was talking about how we're not in bondage anymore. And how we're not. And I'm kind of thinking still, because I just finished the last video of talking about this, so you guys were also saying the same things but kind of different. So you mentioned stuff in the last video but. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
Just the thought.
No, I don't. You know what you're talking about.
Like you got a lot going on, but it's trying to come out at the same time. That's what you need to compartmentalize
Yeah,
it and
yeah.
give it to us.
When you sleep on it, tomorrow you're gonna be like, yo, this is what I was trying to say.
You got everything trying to come out your mouth at the same time. Yeah.
You're in a perfect position though, because I mean, that's what Garvey recommended us to be is inundate ourselves with knowledge before you go to bed, and then
He got shit coming at it from all angles.
it'll get processed. It's gonna be processed in your subconscious
You go to
overnight.
sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everything will make sense.
Yep.
You need to have that REM sleep.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta have that REM sleep. And
But-
so tomorrow it all makes sense.
But watch that video before you go to sleep. Do you watch
President, before we go,
hour-long videos? One second.
I'm in the middle of like, I watch them in hour segments, so it's not for that same reason. Instead of watching like 3 straight ones,
Yeah.
when they start giving ads, I skip those, but then I'll pause it and then I'll go like do something else or switch to a different video. But yeah, I don't.
Try watching it at a faster speed.
Mhm.
You can get
Yeah,
stuff
point.
quicker,
I
too.
do 7.5.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And you can get
Lady President?
quicker.
mm-hmm.
1.75 is slower, ain't it?
No, like
Nah, you go
1.25?
Yeah.
no, 1.75.
God dang.
3/4, yeah. You
Or
got half
0.5,
speed,
Because if you
3/4.
put on
I know like 1.5, that's like, yeah.
Nah,
But
1.5
1.75 is dang near
subtitles.
twice as fast.
1.5 for subtitles, is what I'm telling you.
Lady President, I heard you.
I just wanted to mention, you said earlier, the individual to develop himself, and you said the problem that we were having was that you see in people is the courage or the ignorance, and also Garvey stated out, it said the person who fails to be true to himself and taking the initiative and to do things will ultimately find out that he or she has been a sucker for others.
Yes, ma'am.
But in that essence, not people don't think they're being. I think that's a lot of our problem today too. Is that our people need to be more true to themselves so that they won't feel like they're being suckered into doing, work for their people. Why the question should be like, why do our people feel like they're being suckered to help their own kind? Like, why has that mentality been developed for our people? Why does it feel like we are being used just because we're doing Black community work? I think that's something that should be addressed as well, President.
Like we're being used because, you mean like the perception of Black community work amongst Black people in the community?
Yes.
And when that's when we go out to, talk to people in the community feel like doing this type of work is sucker work.
It's scam work. We're scamming them. Like, where did they get the notion that doing work for their own kind is a part of scam work? Like, how did that narrative become, and how do we work past that to not think that we're trying to sucker each other?
Yes. Yeah, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, everybody got
It's also because I don't want to bring up too much.
Go ahead, bring it up.
But as far as kind of like that, but with my like entry in and seeing the representation that, for one, we've been given, you know what I'm saying, by like misinformation, like school and not enough, blah, blah, blah. Marcus Garvey's grandson, quote unquote, is in New York City. And that's the version of, that's people's view, that's people's entry view in. Does that make sense?
No. What you mean Marcus Garvey grandson in New York?
Marcus Garvey's grandson has I found this out today, like I was at work this morning and I just got recommended this video and he's just walking around talking about like this but like skewed.
Send me the video. What's his name?
Like if you just type that in,
On YouTube.
Marcus Garvey grandson.
if you typed in, I'm Marcus Garvey's grandson. It's this dude.
On YouTube.
Sure. I'm sure someone clipped it together. Let's see. Let me find it.
I'm Marcus Garvey's grandson.
But I'm talking about how we're viewed from the outside and why, in general, people view anyone doing any good thing as scam work is because of look how many people are actually doing scam work. It's not a bad thing to think like that. I
Yeah.
think.
Okay, I see what you mean. Well, not the video, but Marcus Garvey's no, that's his son.
Oh, so it's,
Julius.
Yeah, so what I'm saying.
Yeah, you gotta sources is very important. I'm not doubting you, but just make sure that it is a legitimate claim.
That kind of goes into my point a little bit. Is that how, if I'm just sitting there trying to look into Marcus Garvey?
Oh, well,
It's
it's always gonna be that element to be attached to any movement. So it's just discernment has to come into play with the individual.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one. That's something we've been battling for years, obviously. The first thing that comes to my mind as far as I think I try to be more solution and problem based, but as far as a solution is propaganda. We're getting ready to touch on that lesson in a couple weeks. But we have to be the authors of our own story. And that's why our social media, Facebook, YouTube is so important. But also us doing events, having events, but also being out in public. We have to be that legitimate representation. Part of the reason that red, black, and green has been misrepresented is because the true representatives haven't been visible. Again, that's on us, and that's what this lesson and Garvey's message and his teachings is really about is personal responsibility. It's our job, and if something is not going right, that means we dropped the ball. We need to pick it up. But that's the position we're in. We've allowed others to tell our story for far too long. And we got to ask ourselves, when are we going to step up and start to tell a story for ourselves? Brother James is a great example as an author. He's, for years, he's been developing children's book and kind of, giving a legitimate representation of Mr. Garvey. But, it's still a lot of work to do. And people in our generation, Brother James is kind of taking care of the next generation, but we got our generation that's still, in their 20s and 30s and haven't heard of Garvey and the UNIA. So that's our job.
I was selling, not even selling. I was just, that's kind of like how my favorite piece is the universe, right? No, I'm saying that only because I mentioned it already. My favorite reason for any of the order of any of this, or any of the way that any of this is presented, is timing. So I say that to say, I don't know why I went to this event. I came across these art canvases. I am into art. Separately, I'm in like technology, I am business, I study some of these things that all of this touches on already before running into any of this.
Yeah.
I had the canvases. I went to this art event that was run by this guy I know, and he just has these free paint events, and then you can just present it. It was like a $30 ticket. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not like doing anything this weekend. I have these, they're just in my garage. I took them out. They like glow in the dark. They're cool. I take them, go there. Very cool. Naturally, I talk to people. I go to events. I want to get to, I like this stuff. I want to try to put these together. I get to know the chef there, and it turns out he owned the space. He set it up. He's who the guy I knew talked to set it up. I come back after we're moving the things. I'm like, oh man, this was really cool, blah blah blah. And he says, oh, I'm gonna be a vendor at Garvey Day. And I'm like, what? Like, he didn't say that it was Garvey Day, he said, Dr. Umar, he said, oh, Dr. Umar is in town, so I'm gonna be a vendor there. So I'm like, oh, what? Dr. Umar is gonna be in town. I came to this, I might as well just like, look, well, I might as well, what's the next thing this leads to?
Yeah.
I go there, I sign up for this here. I saw him there. There were a couple other vendors. Cherry bean pies. Never seen fruits put in with the beans.
Yeah, you seem like
Blueberry.
you seem like a searcher, you know, like you in that searching phase. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a good sign. Hopefully they're, you know, it's a thing that's becoming a trend for your generation. I know my generation, we kind of missed this joint. Like, this was whack, this was lame, this was nerdy, you know, for my generation. Like, what are you doing? Like, you charity? Oh my God. You wanted to party? Like, what? So,
Tradition.
but yeah, once
Looked at as old man or.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
man.
right.
I'm sitting like, because it's not like. It's not. But why? I don't know. That's what I can't understand, because it's the same amount of like work and like effort to put any type of. You know what I'm saying?
You started something new, just.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's already there.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
here, brother. Like,
Yes.
because I went through, shoot, I was in my 30s, well, approaching 30. And I'm thinking, like, if I want to get involved, I want to, you know, do something. Like, with all the Mike Brown and all that stuff was going on, Trayvon Martin, like, I want to do something. But I was thinking I wanted to create my own, you know, new thing. But something told me, like, just study what's already there. You know, before, even if you do, you know, 20 years down the road, you start your own thing, at least learn, you know, how things have been done. So I got in, and, you know, now I'm fucking freaking president and doing courses and stuff. But this is what I was looking for, is the understanding. And this is perfect, because there is no, what Garvey did doesn't need to be recreated. You know, he's established a global government for Black people. So what do I
already covered?
Yeah, what can I contribute, you know, outside of that? Like, come on now. Anything that I do is just a piece of what he already created. So
It's well rounded. Because all the other ones are like one sided. This one is well rounded. It has the politics, it has the economics, it has.
the only thing we have the spirit, that's where we're not the strongest, is the religious, but I think that's what made us strong, is the fact that we're not a religious organization.
Yeah.
You know, whether you Muslim, Christian, you know, Jew, we never even talked about religion. Like, I don't care what, that's not, you know, if y'all,
The common thing is already right.
if you're here for the benefit of Black people, for our people, we can work together. Obviously, you know, we know Garvey's example was Christ, and that's his example. He has that right. We study that. We understand that, but we don't have to have that same example. You know? But
okay, that's why we lead with the race first and not
race first. Yes.
anything.
Yes.
Else. That's when you get your separation.
Yes, sir.
Religion, politics.
Yes, sir. If we Black African people, let's work together. Like, what you mean? What's my religion? Like, where you going? What are we doing? Like, you see me, bro. Come on, let's go. Harris, you know, I mean, mine ain't super kinky, but I don't know. Everybody else, I just feel like they're slowly making their way into this ideology. One of the problems that I have with our people, which is not going to happen in my life, I feel like a lot of our people are waiting for the UNIA to disappear completely.
What? What do you
Yes.
mean?
So that they can recreate it.
Yeah.
You know?
They take all the.
Yes. Once all of the legitimate, all the legitimate representatives are gone, anybody can step up and say, hey, you know, I'm carrying on the legacy of Marcus Garvey and the red, black, and green. You know, that's what I think a lot of people are, you know, wanting. Personally, that's what I've seen. Because it's, other than that, it's like, why aren't you'll get there. Like, I talk to a lot of people, work with a lot of people that love Garvey, talk about, you know, I love Garvey, but they're not they can't they can't discipline themselves to become organized, unless they're the leader, and telling everybody else what to do.
They don't.
That's
That's
another-
lead the damn self.
Yeah, it needs to be, I feel like, I don't know if it needs to be both. You should be able to, I can do it that way or with another person. You can't do it with another person, then it's you're doing. Why would you if you can't organize with a period?
The thing is that the thing that everyone will in all of this stuff, any movement will realize is you have to organize. You can't do it on your own. So Garvey already laid out that blueprint, the greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization. So anybody promoting organization amongst Black people is repeating what Garvey said, So, and like I said, the more you work, the more you try to do, you're going to realize you need, people. And that's why this is so important. I've been involved, 5 years, but always from a position of leadership. And I've seen, and y'all will understand, but you need to have a competent core group. If you only have a passionate group, but they're not competent, you're not going to make a lot of progress, and everybody's going to be very frustrated. So it comes down to what we, as a leadership group, what we can really do, and not what one person can do. So all of y'all, my goal is to, next year as we go through this, it'll be specifically a leadership course with the intentions that everyone that goes through it with the intentions of being able to teach the course when they finish. But that is the goal. As what is the value of knowledge?
Application.
To use it, yes. Yeah. So if we're just going through this, we should go through it. We should learn it. We should apply it to our division, to our jurisdiction, to our community, whatever. But the third stage, we should be teaching others how to do it, and that's where we, as a people, we drop off. We learn it, we do it, but we don't. Yes. Yes. So that has to be a fundamental component of leadership here in Atlanta, is being able to develop others. And we got the blueprint, we got the black print. Garvey gave us these lessons, in 37, they were produced into a text in 85. So we've had them almost 40 years, and we've just been playing around, twiddling our thumbs. So 2024, we got to do what we got to do. All right, 9:45. Brothers and sisters, anything before we close out? All right, great meeting. Brother Eric, you want to do this to honor? You know the motto and the slogan?
No, never.
Brother Malik, you know it?
One God, one name, one destiny.
Yeah, what's the other part?
Oh,
Slogan, Africa for the Africans.
oh, Africa. Yeah,
It's Africa.
for those at home and those abroad, yeah.
You can do it?
Oh, start over, yeah.
You ready?
I'm not gonna lie, say it one more time, and then I'll say it officially the second time. I'm serious. I'm good.
One God,
One God,
one aim,
one aim,
one destiny.
one destiny.
Destiny.
Africa.
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 Hold on, no. Brother,
Wait.
you're gonna lead us. Yes.
Okay.
Africa for the, or you could just say Africa for the Africans.
Yep.
Those at home, those abroad. I'll break it down, but you got it?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. One God.
One God,
God,
one aim,
One destiny.
one aim,
one
one
destiny.
destiny.
Miss one aim.
Africa.
Africa.
Africa
African.
For the
for
Africans.
the Africans.
Those at home and those abroad.
Those at home and those abroad.
Those at home and those abroad.
Race first.
Race first.
Race first.
Great job.
Good
Great
meeting,
meeting.
family. Great job. Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Yes. Yeah. Mass meeting Sunday, and we'll be back Tuesday.